Welcome to the Accenture Powerful Minds podcast. This is a new podcast series where we'll be talking about everyday things: social media, work, money, and the not-so-everyday power of technology to change it. I'm Anka, a solution architect here at Accenture, and today I'll be chatting with
Lauren
and
Moyen,
both analysts who recently joined us from university. We'll be kicking off this first episode of the podcast series by talking about how we can use some of the world's most innovative technology to help solve business problems, improve the way the world works, and just chat for a few minutes about what gets us excited about technology. That's where a lot of the movement within the tech industry to use something that we call design thinking, which is a more humanistic approach to approaching things. Like if you had to explain some fairly complex technology to your grandma, you don't go in and start explaining how the technology works. You explain it to them, okay, you click here and then you do this and then some magic happens. And I think that's precisely the way that we need to approach technology if it needs to make an impact for good. Lauren, what is the most surprising area that you think technology has helped revolutionize in the past sort of like decade or few years?
That's a great question. I think really it's like a paradigm shift in terms of how we think about kind of developing programs or solutions, especially when it comes to international development. Bringing together kind of users at the very start just to understand their pain points, the challenges that they face. Really starting with the idea of empathy is changing the landscape of how we are kind of creating solutions from the grassroots level, from bottom up. And I think that's one great thing about technology, always engaging your users, make sure that whatever we're creating is something that's actually going to be serving the communities that we're hoping to serve.
you mentioned it's about connecting communities. I found out that there's crowdfunding for the homeless.
Oh, wow. Okay, tell me
and this
more.
is called, I think it's done by an organization called Beam, beam.org, and I think Lauren knows about them.
Yeah.
So this is people who have, let's say, a pool of money or some resource, and they're willingly putting it into a fund that supports someone else. I just thought it was an interesting thing to see in terms of tech for good and connecting communities. You have these people with the resources and these people who for some reason have come through this negative part in their life or just unfortunate period, and you're connecting both of them through this tech platform that allows people to share resources.
I think you've touched on a really good point there. Like technology being used for good isn't just about very fancy terms or very fancy technology. Sometimes it's as simple as you are able to fund together with other people online.
Exactly.
Which reminds me of there's a non-profit organization in the US called Crisis Text Line.
Okay.
And what they do is a bit like the Samaritans. The Samaritans are an organization where you can call in if you need support for mental health.
Yeah.
But some people find it hard to make phone calls. So Crisis Text Line, what they did is they set up like one of the world's first charity mental health support lines that work over text message.
Oh, okay.
And it's just as simple as that. Ideas like Crisis Text Line and Beam show that it just doesn't have to be complex technology.
This is what I love about Tech for Good.
Anka, I have a question for you. Accenture has worked on an application for the National Theatre situation. Are you able to tell us more about that?
Yeah, that's a really exciting project. If you think about going to a cinema, you are able to see subtitles if you're audio impaired, and therefore you can know what's going on the screen. But imagine going to a play and you don't have the option to do that. So we worked on a collaboration with the National Theatre where you get glasses, much like you wear like normal prescription glasses. But these have a bit of smart technology in them that can make letters appear in real life, like sort of floating in midair. And it's called augmented reality. We essentially created subtitles for a play, which could be used by audio impaired users, and that's to me that's a game changer. That's giving people the ability to enjoy something. Which actually brings me to something interesting that I worked on that I wanted to share as well. One of my colleagues on the team figured out that his grandma found it really hard to use smartphones. We created an app using Amazon Alexa devices where you could just speak to a virtual robot
Yeah.
and describe what text message that you want to send out to your grandson. And it seemed like such a cool idea that we then turned it into an entire project to help elderly people.
Yeah.
And we tried this out in the real world as well. And it ultimately turned into an app that allows you to discover events close to you, because loneliness among the elderly is a big problem.
Yeah.
It would give them pill reminders. It would give them the ability again to send text messages or phone calls easily. I was out there in the field, talking to a lot of the elderly, and they love the fact that so I can just speak and it will play music for me, but also send text messages to my family. This is great.
I love that you did a lot of user kind of interviews and user testing. I think that's so important for the solution to really kind of be useful and usable.
Can you explain what user research is? Because I think you do a lot of work in that space as well, don't you, Laura?
Yeah. So I'm a UX designer at Accenture, and a big part of my role is about kind of researching and kind of speaking with people to see how technology can work for them, but really trying to empathize and put ourselves in the user's shoes to have the features that is going to work best for them. Or if you were talking about your work where you went field research to the convalescent homes and such, but being able to see how do they live their lives on an everyday basis. When do they take medicine? What do they do when they first wake up? Who do they need to call? And seeing kind of how their everyday flow goes. So that's a little bit of what I do as an analyst, which has been pretty cool. But Moyen, I know you also do some cool stuff as well, so we'd love to hear about that.
Yes. So I've been at Accenture for 2 years. I mostly work around data, but something that I do closer to tech for good kind of standpoint, which is all tech for good, is I've sometimes volunteer. And I volunteered once to a Women in Tech session.
Okay.
And we know nowadays that this is a great time for women because they're empowering them to come out to learn technology. And I think it's beautiful.
Yes. Snaps for that. Snaps
Yeah.
for that.
I love this because I think I've also been working on a lot of sessions where we do coding camps for people from sixth form who don't have access to them, or even kids who are as young as 8 to 12 years old.
Exactly.
And it's so amazing.
It is. So what we did was we had this coding session, and myself and another colleague, we took them through the whole process of creating their own programs for beginners.
But I love what you mentioned, Moyen, about kind of upskilling in digital skills.
Yes.
I think that's so powerful because, especially when you're thinking about how do you empower young people, it's by giving them kind of the tools and the skills to succeed. And that's actually one thing that Accenture does really, really well. They have their whole corporate citizenship arm, where kind of their mission is kind of how do we kind of give our young people and give the workforce the technology skills so that they can participate in the digital market.
Yeah.
In fact, I've also participated in something called a Mapathon in Accenture, where what you do is you volunteer tiny portions of your time to look at satellite images of flood-hit or earthquake-affected areas, and just on your browser, you can go and mark the houses that are damaged. So in the aftermath of a lot of these incidents, you can help get aid faster to a lot of these places that are not actually mapped out on Google Maps. I find the ability that we can connect people and communities together so powerful in scenarios like that.
Technology is so powerful, guys.
It seems like there's a theme here with tech for good in the sense of connecting people and communities.
I think with globalization, you have more people knowing about each other in the world.
I'm quite proud as a company how often we get involved in projects like this, and just the fact that an idea that came out from my grandma finds it too hard to text and then being able to take that into an app that actually helps elderly people. I think that's an amazing story that we did in less than a year.
I did have something I wanted us to try. I wanted to see. I thought it would be a little fun.
Yeah.
So I'm going to count to 3. And then as soon as I hit 3, we're all going to scream one word, or not scream, but we're all going to say one word that we think represents tech for good. Just one word. So do you want to take a moment to think about this word?
Oh, God. Okay.
1, 2, 3. Collaboration.
Inclusive.
She said inclusive. I said collaboration.
I said compassion.
Wow.
See, I noticed that they're all human. Well, all human related. Like we didn't say anything. Technology.
I
app,
didn't say blockchain.
Even the blockchain. So I've
No AI.
no AI. I feel like Tech for Good has this, ability to bring people together, which is something we've touched on, and people can get involved in it from any background. Studied chemistry, studied psychology. Doesn't matter what you did, you can always come in and contribute, which is great.
So yeah, I know we all love Tech for Good. We're all very passionate about it. And we can go on for hours, but that's just a snippet of some of our work that we're doing here at Accenture to help improve everyone's everyday. You can tune into the rest of the series to find out more about how technology is changing your world. Keep up to date with all things at Accenture on our social media channels, and if you want to work with us and play a part in shaping the future, head to our website to find out where you can apply your powerful mind.